Welcome to Meet Me Halfway. Once again, I'm Jordan Griffith. He is Austin McNorton. You know what we do. We talk about sports for hours on end. If only we weren't limited to an hour. But Austin, say what's up to the people.
What's going on? You're right. I wish it was hour on end is what it really comes down to.
Yeah, we talk about hour on end. A lot of topic. A lot of stuff. No S on the topics.
Exactly.
It is going to be a great day for you guys. We have a great show for you. It's just now starting to wind down NBA playoffs. We're still going to keep going with these NFL win predictions like we promised. Today we're doing the AFC and NFC North. We're just going to give you the insight on basically how to beat Las Vegas. We're going to make you a lot of freaking money if you listen to us, especially Austin. He knows he knows more about Vegas than anyone I know.
Well, exactly. I practically live there. Let's be honest. I got my own plane ticket. They just know who I am. I don't even need. Right. I just walk through the security because they're like, "Oh, you're going to Vegas?" Because it's such a regular thing I do. Yeah. That's why I'm headed right after this. So
you don't even fly. You have one of those like Japanese underground railroads where it goes like 600-700 miles an hour and you don't feel anything. It's just underground. It's just for you. It's just like one small car. It's not like a train.
It's the safest thing anyone could possibly ride in. Let's be honest.
It's true. Why wouldn't you want your body hurled at 700-800 miles an hour on a train track?
Exactly, on a single little car.
Right.
That makes so much sense.
Right.
Underground where nothing can happen. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Safest place to be, safest mode of transportation.
100%.
If you ever watched Unbreakable, you know for a fact that trains are always very reliable. So
they have seatbelts in them, but no one uses it. I don't use them.
Yeah, why would you? Just like cars. Okay, moving on to actually talking about sports for hour on end. Going to the NFL like we promised, going with win predictions once again. I'll explain to you guys the lines that they have for each team once again. First, we're going to start with the AFC North, and we're going to start with who actually was not at top of the division last year, but we're very used to that happening. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, they won 9 games last season. They had that tie in Week 1 against the Cleveland Browns that no one can forget. And then they just did not make the playoffs, which is insane. It would absolutely crazy. It was weird not seeing the Steelers even in there. But they missed the playoffs last year. The Ravens take that AFC North crown. But they got 9 wins last year. They also are projected to get 9 wins this year. The over is -110, and the under is also -110. So it's an even bet. So you can bet on either side. It's going to be -110 anyways. So in order to make $100, it's that amount's there. So Austin, over or under?
9 wins. I think I'm going to take the under on this one. I just think they lost. Let's be honest. The Steelers lost quite a bit, and I don't really know if they were able to replace those guys. I don't know how much of really team chemistry this team has in Pittsburgh. I don't know if they think Ben Roethlisberger's the guy anymore. I don't know if they think Mike Tomlin's the guy anymore. I don't know. I don't think anyone knows what's going on in Pittsburgh. And I think Baltimore is better than Pittsburgh. And I think Cleveland's right there. They're going to be similar to Pittsburgh this season with the amount of talent that Cleveland picked up. And so, which is crazy to even say, honestly. When you're talking about Cleveland. I don't know. That's just a bunch of everyone wants them to be good, I think, just because of how bad they've been. Speaking on Cleveland, but I don't know. But then looking at the Steelers' schedule, they have some tough. They have to play the Patriots, the LA Rams, the Colts, the LA Chargers. They have some really tough opponents. I don't think they're going to be able to squeak out 9 of those wins. I'm going to take the under, absolutely.
I almost disagreed with almost just about everything in there. And it's obviously not shots towards you, but I look at it at the exact opposite end. So I look at the Ravens as a diminished team from last year. I also look at the Browns as
mostly because of their defense, though, right?
Yeah, exactly. We'll talk about them here soon. But the Steelers at 9 wins, I'm taking the over on that for sure. This is the first time that this has clearly been, Big Ben, you have to go prove something. You have to prove to us that you are worth keeping and that you were not the problem, even though I still believe that he was as well as Antonio Brown was. You still have Juju Smith-Schuster. Le'Veon Bell wasn't there last year anyways, so you're not really losing him because you already didn't have him anyways. You get Devin Bush in the draft. You finally get that you're trying to get that defense back. Edmonds might improve in the secondary. He had an awful rookie season last year. They got Steven Nelson, who played out of his mind for, I don't care, Chiefs fans. He played very well last year. A lot of people like the dog on him. He got paid and maybe overpaid a little bit in Pittsburgh. But I look at this team as not improved, but they certainly didn't get any worse. And I believe without all those distractions, Mike Tomlin is honing in on Ben Roethlisberger.
A lot of distractions.
Yeah, no, but they're all gone now because this is a team that wants to play with each other. Juju Smith-Schuster and James Conner are two of the most just lovable stars in the NFL. Juju Smith-Schuster is a guy that already before coming into the NFL was a social media icon. James Conner beat cancer. There's no way you can hate either of these guys except for Ben Roethlisberger, and he's going to try his best to keep this team above water. I think he's going to be able to. I also think that people are discounting the Steelers just because they lost Antonio Brown. Okay, look, wide receivers are great to have, but it's not like
win you games.
It's not like left tackle.
Yeah, exactly. Look what happened. Odell did not win games for the Giants.
No, and especially when you have a Hall of Fame quarterback. And trust me, the Steelers know how to draft wide receivers. Juju Smith-Schuster, Antonio Brown, Hines Ward. The list goes on with all these receivers that they're able to draft. I have no doubt in my mind that this team is going to win more than 9 games this season. Okay, moving on. Second place, the most polarizing team in the NFL right now, the Cleveland.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Okay, so they're projected to win 9 games this season. The over is -130 and the under is +110. And they won 7 last season. So they added Olivier Vernon on the defensive end. Jabril Peppers is gone. They got Odell Beckham Jr., Sheldon Richardson up front in the defensive end. Kevin Zeitler is also gone. They added Greedy Williams in the draft. So a lot of turnover for the Cleveland Browns, but over under 9 wins with the line there.
I honestly think this might be one of the toughest divisions in football. And it's going to be a battle between probably these top 3 teams throughout the entire season. So I would go into Vegas. I don't know if I would bet. I don't think I would even place a bet on the Cleveland Browns. I'm not touching it because you don't know. This team is just so up in the air. You don't really know. But if I had to, for the purpose of this, I would say 9. I would probably do the push at 9 wins. Like, that's probably what I would honestly. I think 9 is a good number for Cleveland. I mean, when you talk about a team that didn't win any games at all just 2 years ago, it's pretty unbelievable to say now they're potentially you're betting between, can they win more than 9 games? So if I was going to Vegas, I'm not touching this team. That's just I like Baker Mayfield a lot, and I think they added some good pieces to their team. But I can't say anything until I have to see it to believe it, kind of with Cleveland right now. And so I'm not placing a bet at all.
Well, from just looking at the lines, Vegas is telling me that they like Cleveland above 9 with -130 and +110 for the under. I'm taking the under on this one for the sole purpose. So you have Kareem Hunt, you have Baker Mayfield, you have Odell Beckham.
Kareem Hunt for about half the year, though.
Yes, yes. And you have Jarvis Landry. All 4 of those guys are gigantic personalities.
True.
What happens when you're in a 2-3 game skid? People are starting to say there's now expectation on this Browns team. You guys need to win at least 9 games this season. It's not like last
season. Media attention is going to be on that team. It's going to be in a magnifying glass this season.
Exactly. It's not going to be like last season where anything you get is, house money. You're betting with house money. And you can't lose because even when you lose, people are like, you're the Browns. You didn't have that much talent. You weren't expected to anyways. Now you're expected to. If you don't perform to that, you have guys who are very young who don't know how to respond to that. Everyone except for Odell has been winning so far. Jarvis Landry he's now pretty much a veteran along with Odell now, but they've had some struggles outside of Cleveland. But Baker Mayfield is a guy that talks a lot in the media. I'm telling you, in a 2 or 3 game skid, he's going to say something that we're going to be talking about on this show. I can guarantee that right now. That's not going to go well for him.
Who, Odell or Baker is going to say something, or both?
Both. But I think more of probably Baker. I think so. I hope not, because I want him to be successful. I just think he talks too much for a quarterback. That's my opinion. So I'm selling on the Browns, especially with the line right there with plus 110. That's a good bet for me to make. But if I'm going to Vegas, just like you're saying, I'm not making the bet. But if I
exactly.
Right. Because what's really intriguing is the amount that they won last year opposed to 9. So they won 7 last year in 9 games, and you look at the roster and you're like, well, they're 2 games better, but they've never done this before. So why?
Exactly, they've never been in this situation for a long time.
Yeah, so why would I even try and make that bet? That's just throwing away your money. So no way I'm touching the Browns, just like you were saying. Okay, moving on to the Ravens, the former AFC North champions. They won 10 games last season. They are projected at 8.5 this year. The over is minus 120, and the under is plus 100.
I think I would take the over.
I want to go first on these guys.
Oh, you'll go first? Okay.
I would love to go first. I do not like the Ravens this year. I'm selling all of my stock on the Ravens this year. Number one, Lamar Jackson, now the book's out, okay? Now, you think the book's out on Patrick Mahomes or Baker Mayfield. No. The book's out for Lamar Jackson, right? He's going to be a sophomore. Sophomore slumps are obviously real. He did not throw the ball well last year. I don't know if he's going to be able to this year. But now they officially know all those power plays, the read options to either side is going to Lamar. I don't think that these teams are going to be dumb enough to just let him run around again once again. And he might get hurt this year. He's a very frail, skinny guy. Plus, that's under the premise that this Baltimore Ravens defense is just a vicious monster, which it isn't anymore because C.J. Mosley's gone. You have Terrell Suggs is out of there. Zadarius Smith is gone. That's your entire linebacking crew. Judon is the only one that's still there. They replaced Earl Thomas with Eric Weddle. Credit, upgrade for sure. Maybe overpaid for him. I don't really care. That's a good signing. But Terrell Suggs was the heart, and it was the heart of that team for ever since Ray Lewis retired. This is not the same Baltimore Ravens. Okay, well the offense, anything they do is a plus because the defense is going to do what they're going to do. No, this defense is going to be closer to middle of the pack than top 5 this year. They're going to be around 15 as opposed to top 5. So I'm selling everything on the Ravens. 8.5. I'm not even going 8.5. I'm going with under plus 100.
So with it, and looking at their schedule, with it being 8.5, I would take the under on this team. Because I think I agree with a lot of what you're saying. The biggest thing for me is that you're saying, and what I'm leaning towards is the fact that sophomore slumps are a real thing. And I don't know how Lamar Jackson will do now that people are like, okay, we watched you in college. We weren't really sure. Now we've seen you do a lot of what you did in college and still have success with it in the NFL. And now we're not going to let you do that. Now we have the film on you. We're not going to let you have success against us. I mean, and you look at some of these teams defensively, like for the Chiefs, the Browns, the Patriots, all these teams are going to be able to schedule and Baltimore and prepare for Baltimore, really. And I would say it'd be right around 7 to 8 games. So looking at their schedule, there's some winnable games on here. But like I said, I think this is going to be one of the toughest divisions in football. And it's going to be a battle to try. You're going to potentially have to beat the Browns twice. You're going to potentially have to try and beat the Steelers twice to even make it to 8 games. So, yeah, I would lean towards the under.
And we're also one more point, and we'll move to the Bengals. But I'm saying we're talking about the sophomore slump being a real thing. But he also didn't exactly have the greatest rookie season either.
True.
So he didn't play.
He didn't play the whole season, but
he exactly didn't launch the ball down the field to keep defenses honest.
Yeah, it's not his game. Yeah,
it's not his game. But I mean, I think Lamar Jackson's a good quarterback. He just doesn't look like a natural thrower to me, and I just don't think this is sustainable. That playoff game against the Chargers was just hard to watch. And there toward the end, they finally was able to kind of muster up a comeback that was short. But I'm selling everything on the Ravens. Sorry to Owen back home. He's a huge Ravens fan. Sorry, man. This team's not winning 8.5 games this year. In my opinion, I'm of course okay. I'm okay with being wrong. I like the Baltimore Ravens. I like the way they play. So, okay, moving on. Last team in the AFC North, the Cincinnati Bengals. Kind of an intriguing team, as again, like you were saying, this is a very competitive division this year. Even the worst team in the division last year is still a good offensive team. They won 6 games last year, projected 6 games this year again. The over is minus 130. Excuse me. Over is minus 130. Under is plus 110. So what are you doing there?
I would probably lean towards probably the under. I'd probably lean towards the under on this team because again, I like what they did in the draft. We talked about that. I didn't think they needed to be super aggressive because I want to see what their new head coach will do. I know that he is a quarterback's guy. He wants to get the quarterback he wants. They didn't get crazy. So I think this year will kind of just be more of a foundational year.
Yeah.
Get some of these new guys they drafted in, get some of the new coaching scheme, the new assistants, get Zach Taylor's philosophy, and set the foundation for the future. So I don't think this is the season for Cincinnati to just go crazy. I just don't think that's going to happen. So I would lean towards the under.
I would bet anything except for the under this time because 6 wins last year with Marvin Lewis as a head coach. Andy Dalton was hurt for a majority of the tail part of last season. They had Cody Kessler. Or no, not Cody Kessler. I always get Cody Kessler and there's one other quarterback I get mixed up. I cannot think of his name right now. But Andy Dalton didn't play a whole lot. He had a thumb injury. AJ Green was also injury riddled. They had the worst defense in the NFL along with the Chiefs. Hard to believe. So they have one of the worst defenses. You build that left tackle with Jonah Williams. Andy Dalton might start over Ryan Finley. Who knows? Ryan Finley might have a chance. I actually like his chances of maybe competing for that starting job. But I know for a fact this offense is going to be better than it was last season because they're going to have both of those guys back. And Zach Taylor's a better offensive mind than Marvin Lewis is. Defense can't get much worse, really. So I don't know if they can lose more than 6 games because everything went wrong last season and they still won 6. Granted, most of them were in the front half of the season when they were hot. They started off 5-1, and then I think it was 5, maybe not 5-1, but they started off hot and then didn't really play too well after that. But I would take most likely the push, but over. I know it's minus 130, but that's a good bet to me, I think. All right, moving on to the other North. NFC North, the most historic division in the NFL. First, the Green Bay Packers. So, 9 wins is projected for this season. They won 6 last year. Mike McCarthy out, Matt LaFleur in. The over is minus 110, and the under is minus 110 as well. So, it's an even bet.
I think 9 wins is a stretch. I would probably lean towards the under. I think this is another team that, similar to what I was saying about the Steelers, I don't really know quarterback-wise, and we talked about it again on this show, quarterback-wise, new head coach, how everything's going to play out. I mean, I think they obviously trust in Aaron Rodgers, keeping him, and I just don't know what they've really placed around him. And with them only winning 6 games, I don't think they're 3 games better this season with what they've added. So I would lean towards the under. Okay,
I'm gonna go with the over here. Even with that minus 110. This is solely based off of I think that Aaron Rodgers is officially healthy now, and that knee is no longer bothering them. Everything I say right after this is
100% based on that.
Is 100% based off of this. So
Which it should be, because that's definitely the biggest factor when it comes to the Packers, is Aaron Rodgers' health.
Right. Devontae Adams had one of the best wide receiver years in Green Bay Packers history last season with the injured Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Jones is finally going to start getting some consistent playing time. They have a good offensive line, the best left tackle in football, and David Bakhtiari, however you say his last name. He's by far and away the best left tackle in football right now. Kenny Clark up front, he's a killer. You got Adrian Amos. Okay, you got Zadarius and Preston Smith, both the Smiths at the linebacking or for the linebacking core. So the defense is going to play. The defense is going to be much improved this year. I like stealing away Amos. That was the best free agent move in the season, I think. The offense is going to do what they're doing. Matt LaFleur replacing Mike McCarthy. I think that's something that's really going to help Aaron Rodgers' confidence. I don't want Aaron Rodgers on my team personally. I've said this for a few years now. I think he's too full of himself to win another title. But I am buying on the Packers this season, mostly because I'm kind of selling on the other three teams this year as well. But we'll get to that. But Packers, I'll take 9, and if not, I'll take the over on that one. And we're disagreeing a lot today. It's good.
Yeah.
We need this. All right. Moving on to the Chicago Bears. They won 9. They're projected to win 9 games this season. They won 12 last year. The over is -120 and the under is +100. Austin, over or under for the Chicago Bears?
I'll take the over on 9 games. You're not.
No, I'm not. I'm actually selling on them. But you go ahead.
See, I really think their defense is the biggest thing, and the Dallas Cowboys are very similar to this team in the fact that their offense is average and they're consistent. They don't do anything super crazy, but their defense doesn't let any other team do anything super crazy against them either. They have some tough games against some pretty solid offensive teams. Obviously, the Green Bay Packers are in there. They play the Kansas City Chiefs at the end of the season, the Rams, the Eagles. They play all these pretty solid offensive teams. The New Orleans Saints are an opponent that they are facing this year. So they have some tough games, but I lean towards their defense. I just think Khalil Mack's probably the best defensive player in the league. One of it anyway. And that's just my gut. I'm leaning with the defense. Is same within the Dallas Cowboys. I think this team is very similar to that fact. And I think they can win 10 to 11 games.
Well, one thing that never fails in the NFL is there every single year, and this is consistent, every single year, there are 4 to maybe even more teams that make the playoffs the year before that miss it the very next year. For me, that's going to be Chicago Bears. I think the Packers are making the playoffs. I think the Bears are going to miss. The Bears have a grueling schedule when it comes to offenses. Now, when you are,
I was just mentioning, yeah.
When you are a defense that faces cold weather right when you're at home, and then you go on the road and you face these teams that are just loaded on offense, like the Chiefs, it's tough because then that puts a lot of pressure on Mitchell Trubisky. This season is solely based off of Mitchell Trubisky because in that playoff game against the Eagles, down the stretch, he looked fantastic. He was the best player on the field down the stretch. You guys can shut your freaking mouths if you don't think so, because I'm tired of people disrespecting Trubisky. But at the same time, I'm not exactly going to say 12 wins again. That was a lot, and they were on fire. Unfortunately, they lost the game in Chicago against Philly off of Cody Parkey's field goal. I don't know, kind of maybe another sophomore slump sort of thing for Coach Matt Nagy. Got some learning curves. Jordan Howard's out, even though David Montgomery replaced him. I just have this feeling, and I honestly can't really describe outside of the schedule. And it's gonna come down to Trubisky.
It's a brutal schedule.
It's a very brutal schedule. I also think this division has gotten a lot better this offseason. I'm selling on the Bears this year, and I hate to do it because they were my favorite team in the NFL last season. So, unfortunately, I'm taking the under on the Bears at +100. Okay, moving on to the Lions. Maybe one of the easiest picks of the season. 6.5 is their win projection. The over is -130. minus 130, and the under is plus 110. And they won, again, 6 games last year.
I would probably go with the under on this one.
It's it's just a very vanilla
Detroit Lions, yeah.
And Matt Patricia, Stafford, I mean 6.5, 7. I'm not touching this amount if I'm in Vegas either.
Yeah, I mean they have to play the Chargers, the Chiefs, Denver. I mean, so they got to play the entire AFC West. That's going to be tough. And then they got some teams like the Buccaneers, we'll see, and Chicago, obviously, Packers that we've talked about. Over 6 wins is going to be tough for this Lions team. So I'll say 5 at probably the most.
I will say that I like their draft this year. I think TJ Hawkinson was a really good bet. I'm not. I have no feelings toward this team whatsoever. I'm not excited, and I'm not I don't hate them either. At 6.5, I just don't care. I mean, Lions, I just don't care. 6.5, okay. I'll take the under. But push. I'll push. Take the under. I don't care. I'm not taking the over though. I'll tell you that. Okay, finally wrapping up. Next one, we're going to do both of the the NFC and AFC South divisions. So stay tuned for that next week. But we're wrapping up the North right now. The Vikings at 9 wins this season. They won 8 last year. The over is plus 100 and the under is minus 120. Very interesting bet line right there.
So what's that exactly mean for those who don't know?
So plus 100, that means I was using Nick had told me instead of using tens as an example, just use 100. It makes it much easier. So you bet $100, you win $100 for the over. You bet $120 to win $100 for the under. Much easier. I don't know why because we usually use $10 bets is what peasants like us Griffiths do. So is the minus 120 has made it much more confusing. But you bet $120, then you win 100 if you get the under. But 100 and 100 if you get the over.
Okay. Based on what I've said and what you said as well from the Packers, I've always been an Aaron Rodgers guy. What I've said from the Bears, I love their defense a lot. I think 9 wins is going to be tough for the Vikings. So I would say I would lean with the under on this one.
Let me say the one hope that I would have is now you have Garrett Bradbury under center helping Kirk Cousins out.
Huge.
Kirk Cousins.
I've never been the biggest Kirk Cousins guy. I've never been. I don't know if that comes from him being at Washington, and I don't know. You like that? All that. I've never been that big of a Kirk Cousins guy. Maybe that's my thing with the Vikings. I don't know.
That's okay, but Kirk Cousins balled out last year. He had a very good statistical season, like he always does, because
he does have a good statistical year every year.
The defense did not support him last year as much as they did before. They were the number 1 defense coming into last year. They were my Super Bowl favorites.
They helped Case Keenum out a lot.
They helped Case Keenum a lot. If that defense can show up like they did with Case Keenum, then they're probably the best team in the NFL. Honestly,
Kirk Cousins has great weapons around him. I mean, Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen are ballers.
Exactly. Now he has Garrett Bradbury. Now he has Irv Smith Jr. to replace Kyle Rudolph. Looks like he's out of town. Irv Smith was a great prospect from Alabama. I'm going to push on 9 wins. I think that's exactly their ceiling this year. Or actually, no, let me take that back. I think their ceiling is much higher than 9 wins. I think the expectation is around 8 to 9. So I'm going to go with 8, so I'll take the under. But the line makes it interesting because both those bets are right there. That means they think the Vikings are just 8, 9 wins. There's no way they're going to be up or below that. So Vegas is definitely taking the 9. I'm taking 8. I don't think this team is that much better than they were last year. But if Kirk Cousins somehow has an MVP season, this is a 12, maybe even 13 win season with that defense playing number 1. But
biggest factor is defense.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the NBA. A lot of stuff going on. The Warriors are in the Western Conference Finals along with the Portland Trailblazers. In the East, you have the Milwaukee Bucks.
Shocking, I know, isn't it?
I know, it's weird. You have the Milwaukee Bucks, number 1 seed, going against number 2 seed Toronto Raptors. So A lot of questions to be asked here. So the Warriors advanced past the Rockets. Did not even have to go to Game 7. Without Kevin Durant, the Warriors were able to beat the Rockets on their home court in Game 6. So Austin, what does this mean for Houston? Is their window gone?
I don't know. I mean, I think especially when we're talking about what happens in the offseason this year, I think a lot of what happens, especially in the Western Conference, depends on, honestly, what Golden State does.
Right.
What they do with Clay, what they do with KD. Because if nothing has really changed with Golden State, Houston has to get a big guy. Because James Harden and CP3, they both played great in that Game 6, and they still couldn't win, even when the Warriors didn't have KD. In Houston, they still couldn't beat Steph. They still couldn't beat Clay. They still couldn't beat Draymond. And I don't know how. And so even if the Warriors don't get KD, which everyone is kind of leaning towards, I still think they have to go get somebody. I don't know who that somebody is, but I think they have to make a move to get something. Tobias Harris, maybe. Somebody else who could seriously get – because right now, just those two alone, they can't do it. Which is really unfortunate because this team and Mike D'Antoni and everyone in Houston, they have built this team solely for the purpose of we're going to be the team that knocks down Golden State. It's going to be us that does it. They don't have KD. We're coming back home. And then they still can't do it. So I think what it means for Houston is, I don't know who, but I think you have to add an additional third guy.
Yeah.
Because those two alone are great, but two can't beat 4.
Let me say
3.5, really.
Let me say, I think the window is open as long as James Harden is still there because he's a guy
that's Houston's biggest goal is to get James Harden a ring. 100%. Yeah. They don't care about anything else except for getting that guy a ring.
This guy is too special to be in the Steve Nash, Charles Barkley, John Stockton class. He's too good. He cannot be in that class. They need to get him a ring. Chris Paul he's the biggest X factor because if he was Chris Paul just last season, they obviously would have won this series. He had diminished significantly this year. Now, was that due to injury? Because he had a very bad injury at the beginning of the season. Maybe that lingered throughout the year because it takes a lot of guys. It takes guys a lot of time to get over injuries like that. Or was it just age? Is it just wear and tear? Is it a guy that's just declining? I'm not sure. He's got one of the worst contracts in basketball right now. He's got 2 more years on it. Clint Capella couldn't have played any worse. He was nothing around the rim on the defensive or offensive end. He also had a huge contract. So the Rockets don't have cap space to add another guy right now, unless they moved Chris Paul or Clint Capella. But let me tell you who the number one fit would be, and that's Klay Thompson. Would be the perfect fit in Houston. Spot up shooter, plays defense, literally exactly. He's a 15 times better version of PJ Tucker. Now, Klay Thompson is on the free agent. He's a free agent as well as Kevin Durant. Maybe there's a situation where they choose Kevin Durant over Klay Thompson, and Klay Thompson's out there hanging high and dry. There's a chance that could happen. Rockets are gonna have to make some salary cap moves in order to get another big guy. But if this core stays together, there's just no chance. But at the same time, if this core stays together, there's no chance for anybody. So I don't know why we're picking on the Rockets there. If Kevin Durant comes back, there's no chance for anybody to beat the Warriors.
Exactly. There's no chance. And even with KD being out, I mean, we still saw that it still takes everyone's absolute best game to still beat them, even without KD. Yeah. And you had another question on here: is James Harden a choke artist? What more there's nothing more he could have done.
Yeah.
I mean, really. And that was the case for James Harden throughout the entire season, honestly. I mean, he was by himself for a good majority of the season with Chris Paul.
Yeah.
There was nothing more he could have done to keep them afloat to become the 4 seed in the West. There was nothing more he could have done. So Houston's just, I don't know how, but they got to add somebody else or else they're not going to be able to beat the Warriors. And I mean, no one can, honestly.
Yeah. Obviously, I don't think James Harden is going to get this, just like LeBron James used to earlier in his career, get this unnecessary, uncalled for hate that, hey man, you didn't pull through in the big moments. If you watch that game, every single time the Warriors hit a big shot, James Harden came down and hit a bigger shot. Every single time he was able to respond, he answered almost every time. And you know what? Your efficiency is not going to be great when you have to do everything on that team. And Chris Paul took over in that game as well, and they still couldn't beat him. Credit to the Warriors. I mean, they're the best team in the NBA even without Kevin Durant, which is just outstanding. It's just crazy. Okay, moving on to actual basketball we can root for. The Raptors advanced past the 76ers. Kawhi Leonard able to hit one of the craziest games.
You haven't seen that shot, go watch it because
it's insane.
I watched it live and I still can't believe it.
Absolutely crazy. Hits every part of the rim. Finally falls over Joel Embiid. The Raptors are in the Eastern Conference Finals for the second time in their history. This is exactly what me and you had predicted. We had Milwaukee and Toronto facing off. You picked Milwaukee. I picked Toronto. We'll have to see how that works out. But who do you like in this series and why right now? Because right now the best player in the playoffs is Kawhi Leonard because he has played out of his freaking mind.
You know who I like in this? It's Kawhi Leonard. And you know why I like? Because what he showed me yesterday. He has been in these games before. He has been in the finals before. He has won the finals before. He's a guy who has been in these type of game 7, crucial, must win. I want to be the guy who takes the shot. I want it. Where, as you saw for Philadelphia, they had so many possessions where they're just chucking up a shot at the shot clock buzzer because no one wants to take this shot. You thought Jimmy Butler would be the guy, but he was passing it off to Joel, and Joel would pass it back to Butler, and then Butler would pass it off to Simmons, and Simmons would pass it off to the Harris. Like, none of these guys want to take a shot, and then they're chucking up garbage. And Kawhi's like, give me the ball, I'm going to score because I'm the best player on this floor.
Yeah.
I think he's going to do the same thing against Milwaukee. And I think Milwaukee could be similar to Philadelphia in the fact that I like Milwaukee. I think it could be – I thought it could be Milwaukee going on, but with the way Kawhi's playing, it's just been there, done that kind of right now. Whereas Milwaukee, they haven't yet. This is their been there, but we haven't done that yet. It's the same for Giannis. I think Giannis could be the guy who says take the shot, but I don't know. Whereas Kawhi, I know for a fact, especially after yesterday, that he's going to be, give me the ball, I'm going to go win. I'm going to go win the game for us. I'm going to go drop 40 and win the game.
Yeah.
Because that's just what he's done. He's like, I've done this. I know how this works. I know there has to be the guy that takes control here. And so I think he's going to do that. He's the best player in the playoffs right now. And so I'm going to ride his hot hand.
Yeah, I still like Toronto. If they make it to the finals, I better be getting all sorts of love because I called this before the playoffs had started. I called them making the finals even before the playoffs, or even before the regular season. I said, okay, well, you replace Kawhi Leonard or replace DeMar DeRozan with Kawhi Leonard. That's quite the difference. Also, here's an interesting storyline. With each game Toronto wins, the more hope he re-signs with Toronto. Every game, you can just feel it with Kawhi. He's showing emotion. He's tough. He's showing emotion. He's showing this grit and grind that. Okay, Toronto is one of the most loyal fan bases in the NBA. They'll sell out, just a little small rock concert for a team or for a band that they've never even heard of.
And you see, that's the other thing with him being in Toronto. Kawhi is not a guy who likes the spotlight. Obviously, he's not that
Toronto.
He's not that big of a media guy. That's why he loved San Antonio. That's why he likes Toronto. Obviously, whereas if he went to the Knicks, if he went to the Lakers, I don't think he'd enjoy it as much because, my gosh, you're just under a magnifying glass with those organizations.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, those organizations love you because you're a monster, top 5 player in the league. But I don't think he would enjoy it. Whereas Toronto, perfect. He can go up there. No one really pays attention to Toronto that much. But he's like, I'm still recognized as one of the best. I'm getting my team wins. I'm getting my team to the Eastern Conference Finals. Perfect. Perfect. I think he loves it up there. I really do.
I hope he resigns. I would love to see Toronto flourish. I love the Raptors. I like everyone on that team. They also have just a group of the most likable guys in the media. You have guys like Kyle Lowry, of course, his playoff struggles. Siakam he's a great guy. One thing that I love about this matchup is no matter the outcome, these are the 1 and 2 deepest teams in the NBA. The one way to beat the Warriors, if KD is still out, was depth. Remember, they had that issue once they got KD. They got rid of Harrison Barnes. Andrew Bogut was gone for a while. There was one other that they had gotten rid of. But the Warriors are not a deep team at all. So when those star players are off the court, you have guys like Malcolm Brogdon. You have guys like Fred VanVleet, Danny Green that come off the bench and can just drop points on you. And next thing you know, you have a 10-point lead before these stars come back onto the court. So both of these teams are, I think, a great matchup. I think Milwaukee might be a better matchup for Golden State. But once again, I'm riding Toronto's hot hand. I'm just loving what I'm seeing from Canada up there. I love it. I love that. They have the most electric home court advantage. Those guys, Milwaukee has a pretty good one too, but Toronto is just
Toronto. It's the entire country.
Yes, because exactly. It's like if we American soccer, we had one team that was just American soccer. We all were fans of it. That's exactly what Canada is. Yeah. Everyone's a Toronto basketball fan. I love it. I hope they advance to the finals. I want to see Kawhi Leonard get another ring without Greg Popovich, so people can't say, oh, he's a system player. Greg Popovich, he did everything for him. Tim Duncan, Tony Parker. Shut up. Kawhi Leonard is a monster. He did not need Greg Popovich
right now.
Of course, it doesn't hurt, that he played with him with Popovich and Duncan. But Kawhi Leonard's just a beast, and I hope he keeps playing. Okay, moving on to a heartbreaking series for me.
You just got really breaking news, or you're just like, well, now moving on to a sad story. It's just like, oh my god, tonight at 10.
It hurts my heart. It hurts my heart. Denver unfortunately lost. Now, we all wanted to see the Joker in the Western Conference Finals because he's an NBA superstar. It looks like he'd eat a worm for $5. You want the Jokic in there. He's a hilarious, Lithuanian, Latvia. I don't know where he's from. 7-foot passing big man, but unfortunately, Denver is bounced out. But Denver has a high ceiling. They have nothing but young talent on that team. They will be back, maybe even a 1 seed potentially next year. But the Portland Trailblazers, team that I sold on against Denver because I like Denver a lot.
I picked this right.
You picked all 4 of them right. The Trailblazers advance. CJ McCollum absolutely takes over. And the Trailblazers are going against the Warriors. Hopefully a 7-game series like we all want it to be. But here's an interesting thing that I saw LeBron James tweet yesterday, and this applies to a lot of teams. He said, "I just a summary of it." He says, "I don't care about all these analytics." He says, "Get me a guy who can get me a bucket." Now, there are 2 guys on Portland that can get you a bucket. There's one in Toronto. I'm not sure if there's one in Milwaukee. There's a guy that can get you free throws, and there's a few of them in Golden State. But he's absolutely right. In the playoffs, these games are 1 to 2 possession difference. You need a guy who can go out there and say, okay, well, I'm going to score. I like
Kawhi Leonard to a T.
Right. Portland might be a better version of Houston. They don't play as good a defense, I don't think. But Damian Lillard is better than Chris Paul right now. CJ McCollum, not as good as James Harden. But those are the second best front court or backcourt duo in the NBA behind Golden State. I don't know, man. I'm thinking I might be liking Portland to go to 7 here.
Wow. I hope you're right. My thing is, I think Golden State plays really strong perimeter defense. Klay Thompson especially, and Draymond Green. Those two, if they get in a pick and roll situation, I think Draymond and Klay are very comfortable guarding Damian Lillard and making him uncomfortable. And CJ, I think CJ can outperform if they get on a 1-on-1 situation. I know Damian Lillard could probably outperform Steph. It's going to come down to CJ McCollum, in my opinion. Can he outshoot Klay? He's going to have to somehow find a way to make Klay miss. Because I'm guessing they're going to be matched up quite a bit. He's going to have to play solid defense against Klay and find a way to beat him. Rather he get to the bucket and hit a beautiful mid-range like he did yesterday against Denver to win it. Something like that. Get creative to make Klay uncomfortable on both ends of the ball. That matchup to me is going to be crucial in this series. Because I think Damian Lillard, and who knows, and especially for this series, it's going to be interesting in games 1 and 2. I think Portland has to get one of those 2 games because once Golden State, for one, potentially gets KD back, and 2, has a scheme, has a set system in place for saying, okay, here's how we can stop these 2. And then it's over. So if you can get one of those first 2 games before Golden State really has the report on how to beat you, that's huge. That's crucial in my opinion.
Yeah. Portland 3. So.
Yeah.
Moving on. By the way, if you guys don't know, you can't win in 3 games. It's a 4-game. You have to win 4 games to win the series. Okay, moving on. More NBA, and then we are going to actually top 5. I understand. You guys calm down. I hear your boos and your cheers. We're doing the top 5 this time because we cannot think of any over, under, or push because we're already doing the over, under, or push pretty much atop with the NFL. So we're just going to do one top 5, and then we're going to do fact or fiction. I know your guys' favorite subject. So lastly, for the NBA, Frank Vogel now being hired by the LA Lakers, 3-year deal. Also, assistant coach Jason Kidd being hired right behind Frank Vogel for the LA Lakers. Very interesting. So I'll get my thoughts on this first because I know it's very dear to your heart there, Austin. They hired Frank Vogel to lose his job. They want Jason Kidd to be that head coach, but they don't want to tell us that they want that to happen. They wanted Jason Kidd the entire time, but he failed so miserably in Brooklyn and Milwaukee. Milwaukee is the best team in the NBA this year. Just last year, he was coaching them. Or maybe not just last year. He was coaching them for a while. They were not that great of a team with Jason Kidd. They insert Mike Budenholzer. By the way, remember me saying when the Atlanta Hawks let him go, I said the Bucks are going to be the number 1 seed in the NBA because they got Mike Budenholzer as head coach. You remember that?
I do.
I couldn't believe that the Hawks let him go. I'm still upset, even though I like Lloyd Pierce. But that's neither here nor there. Frank Vogel is not going to coach his 3 years in that contract. Jason Kidd is going to stab him in the back. I mean, not in the back because Frank Vogel pretty much knows what's happening. He understands. Why would you hire an assistant that he did not want that has been a head coach twice?
Why did he take this job? That's the real question.
Why did he take this job? He's bored. There's no other reason for it, I guess. I mean, Jason Kidd is
from Indianapolis to Los Angeles.
Jason Kidd has a very strong relationship with LeBron James. He's a young guy. He's a guy that LeBron wants, but he's the assistant head coach. So what you have is you have a David Blatt, Tyronn Lue situation. You hire David Blatt as that assistant so that when you fire the head coach, the guy steps up and now he's the head coach. Oh, whoa, how'd that happen? Weird.
It just – I like Frank Vogel. I think what he did in Indianapolis was pretty impressive. I mean, really took him to the Eastern Conference Finals a couple of times. With not a superstar lineup by really good defensive mind. I think he's going to take some of these young guys and help them out potentially. But you're 100% right. For me, this seems like for one, it's like the 12th choice they had for the Lakers, and 2, with them adding Jason Kidd, you know it's like, okay, so this is who you really want. but you know you can't justify it with all the fans who are standing outside your door, literally protesting your organization, how pitiful and awful you are. So you make this move to please the fans and yourself at the same time. Oh, it's just a disaster right now. It's kind of similar, and I heard this on Sports Radio 810 today in Kansas City because Soren Petro is a Lakers fan too, and he said the same thing. He was like, you know how bad the Clippers organization was with all the racism and everything that was going on in Donald Sterling and how much of a disaster it was. Right now, the Lakers are like, hold my beer. Let's see what we can do. Yeah. It's a disaster. It's a disaster with Genie Buzz. We talked about this last episode. I'm repeating it again. It's a disaster. We all know what this move is. I don't understand it at all.
And once again, I do like Frank Vogel as well. He did seem so like however many options they had, he's definitely toward the bottom. They wanted Monty Williams. They wanted Tyronn Lue. Disrespected him, and now they're gone. They went to Phoenix.
Yes, say it again.
You are the LA Lakers, and you got passed up for Phoenix, the retirement capital of the world. Phoenix! You got passed up. You're the Lakers. It's hard to watch. It's really hard to watch. What's really sad is the 1 and 2 most valuable organizations in basketball are the 1 and 2 most worst or the most terribly run organizations.
They have been bad for like 10, 12 plus years.
Yeah, the Lakers are going to have a lot of catching up to do to get to number 1 with the Knicks. There's quite a bit of a gap there. But the Lakers are definitely number 2. And I don't know who number 3 is. Might not even be close for that either. So very pathetic what's going on with the Lakers. And you can't even blame LeBron for this because he just walked into this, it feels like, and just I don't have any words. I don't know I don't know what's happening. So I guess we'll just have to see. And another note, John Beilein, former Michigan head coach.
He's got a longer contract than Frank Vogel did.
2 year longer, yep, because they understand, coaches need security. Weird. So he's getting a deal in Cleveland for the Cavaliers, 5-year deal, leaving Michigan. I think it's going to turn him around a little bit. Obviously, he's a college coach, kind of an older coach. I was surprised he moved to the pros. He seemed like a college coach, developing guys more. But I love the move. I mean, I have no problems with it. So hopefully Cleveland's able to turn it around with him, getting a good pick this year. Okay. Moving on to we're just going to do one section of top 5. It's going to be a sports one for you guys. Top 5 signature sports celebrations. Now, this is one we had a lot of tossing and turning about this one because we didn't know what we were going to do. And also threw it out there, and it was one of those light bulb moments. Yes, we got to do that. Like Daniel Bryan.
There's so many. Then we were like, all right, great. But then you're like, God, there's so many.
So many great ones. Choose. Yeah. Okay. I'll go first. Number 5, I have the Kobe Bryant underbite. Anytime there's an and one or a big play, just to
yep, it.
Menacing underbite he could have, and that Mamba mentality was just is incredible. And number 4, it's a pregame celebration, but I love it. The Ray Lewis dance. This pretty much the sack dance goes from each side and then rips open his chest as extinguishers just fire up right next to him. Legendary stuff. It's iconic. Number 3, I thought this one was hilarious because it's the first time I had seen it. It happened before Chad Johnson. I'm not sure who it was, though. But Chad Johnson scoring a touchdown and then calling the broadcasting booth with a cell phone they had hidden underneath the goalpost before the game. If you haven't seen that, you need to go see that. So it's pretty incredible. Number 2, we have I think we have the first, same first 1 and 2. Number 2 for me is the Tiger fist bump. Now, I'm just gonna move on. There's nothing else you can say about it. I mean, it's iconic.
Or is it the one where he absolutely throws it?
That one?
Yes.
It's the back to forth, or it's just the subtle.
I mean, we got the most recent one where he throws his hands up in the air too. That's iconic.
I don't know. I might like the this one more because it's more like aggressive. This one's like
Yes.
like celebratory. This one's like This one's
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
I mean, it's weird, but it does make a difference. Like it's
Yeah,
a
it
big
does.
difference.
It does.
Okay.
It does.
And then number one, another fist bump. MJ's Michael Jordan after hitting this shot against the Utah Jazz, jumping in the air and then just repeatedly hitting the air as hard as he can.
Keeps going. He just keeps. Yes.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
It's easily 1 and 2. So you go ahead.
So for me, I have the Dikembe Mutombo. I put this on here because I've seen this everywhere. I've seen it in movies, commercials, TV shows, and everyone immediately knows what it is. You're like, oh, that's the Mutombo. Yeah. I was watching The Internship. You and I both love that movie.
Yes.
When they're playing Quidditch, Vince Vaughn does it. Oh, he's the Mutombo. You immediately know what it is. 4, I had to put LeBron, of course. There's no way to describe this in written. So it's when he, and then he.
All right.
I'm going to try. Yeah. You want to act?
Hits his chest, high knees, does this.
Yeah.
That's the way I can describe it.
And then 3, I had Kobe also on here because every time he makes a shot, he's like, yeah, I just hit that. I'm Kobe. Like you just.
One thing that was also iconic but wasn't a celebration was the.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Yeah, it was a celebration.
That's a good one. I think you also could have put like iconic like Jordan's ton out, stuff like that. You could have done.
I mean, hey, we're gonna have a lot of shows. I'm sure we'll find space.
2, Tiger. I like the arm back all the way. I like the just really drag it out. Like get crazy. And then Michael Jordan. I like the jump, but him just standing there and just absolutely that's what makes it for me. Because he just is like, yes. He just looks so great. I love it so much. You see that literally everywhere.
If we do like top 5 iconic, like not celebrations, but just I don't know what we would call it. Sort of just signature stuff. I don't know. Yeah. One that would have to be on there, and we never talked about it on the show because maybe it's not a sport to some people. Maybe it is. I don't know. WWE Daniel Bryan yes chant. Yes.
That's great.
That's got to be on there. Oh man, I love it. I don't even watch.
There could be a lot of WWE ones, honestly.
That's true. We might pretty much top 5 WWE like finishing moves.
Boy. Then we get really crazy on this show.
Oh man, that would be crazy. Okay, moving on to the greatest segment ever written by any human ever born, fact or fiction. Austin, I'm very humble about it. Austin, you are 7 of 15 on the year, a little bit below 500, but I don't expect anything less than you to hang around there the entire time. So, number 1, are you ready?
Let's eat. I did well last week, so I'm feeling it.
Speaking of let's eat, number 1, potato chips is the food that causes the most weight gain, or that chipmunks are distant relatives from the pterodactyl.
Oh, man. The chipmunks is just too crazy to not be real. That's got to be real.
It is not real.
No way.
I made it up. I saw a chipmunk right outside of my door. I was like, he looks like a pterodactyl.
What?
Yep. I don't know. I can't tell you why I do these things, but that's just how it is. Okay, and here's another fact for you guys. This is how you spell pterodactyl. 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 Number 2.
That's pretty intense.
It's stupid.
That should have been your question right there. Here's one way to spell it. Which one's the fact? Which one's fiction?
Okay, moving on. Number 2. Space heaters were originally invented to have fire started inside of them, or that bees can detect bombs.
I'm going to say the bees are real. That's also just so crazy.
The bees are real.
Oh, you're serious? How
There
is
you
that
go.
even possible?
I don't
How
know.
can they detect bombs?
I don't know. It's something.
Okay, who's the person that determined this also?
I don't know.
Who's the person that tested this out?
How do people know anything when it comes to like, oh, dogs can see color? How do you know that? How do you know dogs don't just see black and white? How do you know either
Yeah,
way?
how do you know? Yeah,
It's insanity. Okay, well, here it is. It's
I
either
need
2
it.
or 3 or 1 of 3.
I need it.
Here we go. Number 3. The number 1 tire producer in America is Lego, or that the last person to be beheaded for adultery was in 2006. This is a crazy.
Wow, this is a really, really good one.
Do you know what first of all, do you know what adultery is?
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
I'm gonna say the Lego. I don't know why, but I think the Lego one is real.
2 of 3.
You
You
serious?
got me.
How? What
I
was
don't know.
was the year like? What, like 2007 or something?
No, I just made that up. I'm twisted.
My gosh, what?
I was watching Game of Thrones.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, this would be
What's
good.
that?
This would be good. I just started season 2. So I'm getting there.
Okay.
But I was like, this should be in our show.
Let's.
But-
Man, I needed that. That was great.
Okay, you gotta give me credit. That might have been the toughest question that you've had so far.
That's a really tough one.
Because a person being beheaded in 2006 for adultery would be like, oh, we think it's over with, but I don't know. That stuff could happen. And then you're like, oh,
I know, because something like you're like, oh, that could happen for some reason.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's on here, right? That's why all of this stuff's on here. Like, that could. I mean, I could see it.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
Number one tire producer is Lego.
I didn't read into it. That's just what I saw on there. I'm not sure what the details are. But you are officially at 500, sir. 9 of 18. Clap it up.
Got back. I needed it.
Yeah, you had a great day. I got to give you credit. You know what? Sometimes I don't bring my best. I brought my best today, and you even got me. So credit to you.
Let's go.
Now, what you need to do, you need to get a 3 for 3. I don't think you've ever gotten 3 for 3 before. Like even going back to the cave. That's something you need. You need that on your resume.
That is something I need on the resume.
Now, I don't know.
You're too good though.
What?
You're good though.
I am good, but you still get 2 out of 3s. 2 out of 3 is consistently what you've been getting lately, especially.
That's true.
You know what it is that it's over Skype call instead of in person, to where I don't have that body language like factor to where I can tell the truth or not tell the truth. You can tell what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's what it is. So you're kind of cheating.
That's right. Exactly. I mean, I have all these other tabs open that I'm just looking up the answer right now.
Yeah, exactly. You were like, has anyone been beheaded in 2006 for adults?
Let me see.
Let me see. Okay. Unfortunately, I'm very sorry, audience. We're going to have to end the show. But before we do that, Furious favors. We got 3 of them for you. All baseball, because the NBA's gone pretty much for the next couple days. NFL's out of season. We're stuck with baseball for the summer, and I'm okay with that. I love it. So, number 1, we have the Seattle Mariners going against the Oakland Athletics. Seattle's got Yusei Kukichi going for them. They're minus 128, and the Oakland Athletics have Mike Fiers at plus 118.
I'm going to take Oakland on this one, especially with who's on the mound. He's hot. So I'm going to ride him.
Yeah, he's coming off of a no-hitter. Traditionally, those guys don't really pitch very well in the very next game, so I'm going to go with Seattle on this one with the minus 128. And I think that's the only reason why they're actually favored in this game. So, number 2. Going with the future AL Cy Young, Jose Barrios, and the Twins, minus 155 versus the Angels. Excuse me, I forgot his first name. Skaggs is going for the Angels. I cannot think of his name right now. Plus 145 for the Angels. So who are you taking?
I'll take the Twins. I think they're playing really well right now, and you called it. I'll give you credit.
They're 25-14 this season. 6 of their last 4 they've won. Jose Barrios has been out of his mind. I think he's going to win the AL Cy Young. Like I just said, I just predicted it for the 15th time. I think he's a stud. But I'm once again, I'm going to go with the Twins as well. And then maybe the easiest pick of the day. We have the Indians going against the White Sox. Lopez going for the White Sox. Shane Bieber going for the Indians. Indians minus 133. White Sox plus 123.
I'll take the Indians.
Yeah, that's a pretty easy bet with the minus 133. Shane Bieber has been one of those prospects that have really panned out for the Indians, bolstering that what was already a monster rotation. So yeah, like what the Indians are doing on the pitching side of things, their offense has not been coming around like they had thought. But I guess we'll have to see tonight. Shane Bieber going on the mound. I have no reason to believe the Indians are losing that one. Okay, that was a great show.
As always.
Hit right around, as always, right around an hour. Next show's probably going to be a 3-hour special on just anything. We'll probably do top 5 Marvel movies. I believe that's the next show. So once again, 3-hour special on Marvel movies next time. But unfortunately, that is it for us. Austin, say goodbye to the people.
Peace.
Okay, thank you guys for listening. This is Meet Me Halfway. I'm Jordan Griffith. He's Austin McNorton. Thank you guys for listening. We will see you on Thursday.